Good evening, everybody, and thank you for being here, and thank you, Velox Media, for giving us this opportunity to talk about, some things that we are doing, some things which is generic. We all know AI has been the buzzword for a couple of years now. Network Intelligence is a cybersecurity services company, and like everybody else, we've also started working in this domain. What I'll try to do is showcase less about what network intelligence is doing, but just try to demystify the differences in very simple terms between AI, generative AI, and agentic AI. And I will showcase few things that we are doing on this, and then take you through the risks of agentic AI and what all we can do to avoid that. And we're talking of AI, and we're talking of agentic AI, and we're talking of generative AI, and a simple clicker doesn't work. So, anyway, when we talk of AI, we are looking at generative AI versus agentic AI. When we're looking at generative AI, what it means is actually using some pre-trained models wherein you fed in a lot of data. It basically translates language, understands the usage of language, understands the positioning of words, and gives a predictive analysis. And by that, you can create some kind of text. Primarily, it is reactive. It does not think on its own. I'm very sure all of you use generative AI, and we put a prompt on ChatGPT, for example. It gives us a response, and then we keep updating it, and we keep updating it, and we keep updating it till the time we get an actual answer. So it is basically reactive. It doesn't work. It just provides the output, and we review, refine, and redo this whole thing. What agentic AI does is it is proactive. It understands what you want to do. It creates smaller pathways of doing that. So when I spoke about the generative AI, the iterative processes that I am giving are provided by the agentic AI piece. So the agentic AI system or driver creates these agents and tells it to do something. For example, we are in a security conference. I am trying to do a vulnerability assessment and a penetration testing. The first path is reconnaissance. I go to OSINT, I extract all that information, and then I start doing vulnerability assessment. I use Nmap, I use few other tools. And then when I'm doing penetration testing, I'm going to exploit DB, I'm going to few other forums, I'm extracting the databases. Now, the exploits. What agentic AI does is it automatically scans OSINT, it identifies what are the issues that it needs to do. If it is IP, I'm supposed to use this. If it is an application, I'll use burp suite. If it is something else, I'll use some other tool. It automatically creates those paths without anybody reacting to it. So it becomes proactive. It leverages the same brain which the generative AI is doing, but it uses it and it enhances it to create a complete workflow on its own. So it perceives, decides, executes, learns, and starts all over again. So what we are doing primarily is we are using the same AI as the brain. It is being integrated with external augmentation techniques. So for example, if I need to understand the weather, if I need to do something, I can go fetch that information, add it to my prompt, and do. Anybody who's used NA10 or something here? Yeah. So if you realize you can build agents, it will go to Perplexity, it will come back, it will go to Claude, it will come back. So it will, do multiple things, reasons, and creates an output in itself. Where do we use agentic AI in cybersecurity? We have automated threat detection that we use. Like I said, vulnerability assessment and penetration testing, that is one part of it. But if I want to go to multiple forums, I was speaking to a few friends outside, and they're doing dark web monitoring and deep web monitoring, etc. So if you're doing that, there are agents which will go to that place, come back with the information, inform the people what needs to be done. It can create an automated incident response. So like I'm testing vulnerabilities with different exploits or different things, I can automatically patch some things. I can send out emails. I can block some IPs on its own. A little more enhanced version of a typical SOAR. SOAR, you define some things to be done. Here you can leave it open and give it an opportunity to do whatever it is supposed to be doing. It initiates rollback, it blocks malicious IPs, and if you're getting the same kind of attack from multiple IPs, you know that this area is probably vulnerable for you. Otherwise we keep looking at either the source of attack or the type of attack. It decides what priority to assign to which person and takes action based on that. So LLMs, in turn, they become the brain that humans actually are. They obviously give a faster and effective response, and you get a very quick mitigation strategy. And I'll quote from an example that we had in our SOC, and I'll show you how effective it was when managing about 3 million alerts. This is something that we So this is something that we do in our analysis. We've created we've created custom GPTs. We've created alert monitoring mechanisms. It automatically plugs into the anything that is coming out of SOC. It gets plugged into this, and you get an automated report trying to tell you what it was, how it came, and how you can mitigate it going further. For sake of time, I'll stop, but it goes into a JSON summary. You can define different organizations have a different way. So we serve a lot of customers in this domain. So different organizations have a different way of reporting and reacting to things. We can create workflows based on what an organization wants. The workflow will create multiple different agents, and it will do the work and give you a response based on how you want to play it. So this is, it helps on exactly what needs to be done. It is telling you what is the delivery mechanism, which is the indicator of attack primarily, and what all you can do. One more example is, log parsing. I'm very sure all of you manage SOC or have outsourced SOC or are working on this. At least minimum 3 years back also, creating a parser used to be a separate line item in the commercial quotation that used to come. And we used to say, okay, I'll give you 10 custom parsers as part of this deal, but for every other parser, I'm going to charge you 10,000 rupees or 15,000 rupees, and it is going to take you, maybe 1 week or 2 weeks by which we can build it. And we were still dependent on, the IBMs and the other OEMs to give us some kind of a parser capability. Generative AI, again, it is a simple use of generative AI, no agentic AI used here. But you can take out the log sources, give it to a custom GPT or something, and it will give you a parser created in a jiffy. You can use agentic AI if you have one of the OEMs which has kept on expanding their footprint, which all of these are doing these days, SentinelOne, CrowdStrike, and a lot of others. Moment they add a new feature, the type of logs change. Moment the type of logs change, the SOC is not ready to receive them and cannot configure alerts. You can create a sensor to see what those logs are, what has changed, what is not getting resulted into, or what is not getting accounted for in your alert mechanism, event mechanism. It will automatically create parsers. It will create alerts based on the information that it has, and it will include into the normal business flow. So there is no additional cost for a custom parser. There is nothing involved in all of that. It is just leveraging AI here. This is another example where we are using Cortex, Palo Alto, SOAR, but we have augmented that with our own AI elements built into that. It does the same thing, different reporting for different customers, pushing different kind of alerts that are coming in for creating parsers. So it is creating an agentic AI workflow from the Palo Alto SOAR and doing the work that we are expected to be doing. In a typical SOAR, so it is automating your response decisions. In a typical SOAR, you need to know, you have to program, if this comes, then go to this firewall, do this. If a new firewall comes and that is not programmed, it just goes duff. This understands what is the context, where it needs to go, how it needs to understand and make those changes. So it can be firewall, it can be proxy, you want to rescan an EDR, you want to change the policies on your email gateway. Lot of things it can do at the same time through a single workflow and not create multiple workflows for this. This is one use case where, the customer, just started using Rediff mail without informing us. And we were not able to do that. Leveraged AI, leveraged Agentic AI, and we were able to create those parsers and we created that integration very quickly. This is what I was talking about, enhancement through Agentic AI. If you see on top, we had an event count of almost 3 million. We had anybody, again, if you use SOC, 3 million events is a massive chaos. And, there are L1s and L2s who do this work, who are bound by time and shift and all that stuff. Almost impossible to analyze these kind of events. But the outcome of this was something that you see on the second red box. It said it is, domain generation request and DNS related events. And I think I missed adding a box here which said it is critical, stop all work, just shut down, you are under major kind of attack. The same events were put through an Agentic AI platform, and the agents analyzed it and they realized that at some place in the logs, the word simulate came in, CYMULATE. Simulate is a, it's a mechanism by which you keep testing your own systems. So Simulate is a platform wherein you test your own systems. You try to find out what are the weaknesses. It tries to hack into your own system by creating alerts. So Simulate was being used. So it said all these 3 million events are actually a false positive. Just sit down, relax and chill, there is no problem. So this is where, life changes when you use AI or when you use Agentic AI. Better to use Agentic AI because it will make your life simpler. It will ease out the work from the L1s and the L2s and bring the logic back into the work that you're doing. LLM risk, whenever you use this, it is going to create its own risk. It can, Agentic AI, some places that I use is adversarial testing. So Agentic AI can actually go rogue because it's only thinking on its own. There were cases where Facebook actually put down its AI model a couple of years back when something, was getting posted which was offensive. And AI can train themselves in a negative way. So they need to be controlled. There are a lot of issues that can creep in, and it can, instead of helping you out, the creep can go on to creating nuisance. There are 3 ways to improve this, or rather one way to improve this is putting in responsible AI infrastructure in place. It is just a governance thing, but a lot of involvement on, having a human brought in wherever, there is requirement. For example, in hospitals, if the medication is happening through generative AI, it can become fatal for the patient. So a nurse is required to finally approve the dose that needs to be given. In manufacturing sector, the cars can, or whatever is being produced in pharmacy, whatever is getting produced can become fatal. So wherever there is a possibility, get a human involved. The system that you have built should be capable enough to be explained in very simple terms as to what are the inputs and what are the outputs. The drift, if at all it happens, should be stopped. And basically, there is a lot of bias that happens based on the data that is coming in and going out. So aim is to, bring in these safeguards to help you. That's all, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for, giving us time. Happy to help in any other, if you need anything on this. Thank you so much.